First file on the calendar for the day is Senate File number 3306. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate File number 3306, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to campaign finance, the third engrossment.
I recognize the member from Stearns, Representative O'Driscoll, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Senate File 3306 is the Campaign Finance Board bill for this session. And a quick overview of the things that are in the campaign finance bill. And before I do that, I want to thank Representative Nelson, who is a co-author of this bill. And as we know here in the state of Minnesota, that when we do elections and when we do campaign finance, both Governor Tim Pawlenty and our current governor, Mark Dayton, have had a policy that we have to have strong bipartisan support. And we do believe we have that with this bill. A couple of highlights in the bill. It raises the amount of money that needs to be disclosed on the ESI statement to index that to inflation. It also clarifies some of the board's investigative authority. It also clarifies, in this day and age where we don't necessarily have contributors handing us a check, where they may be doing an electronic transfer of funds, what is the date that we would receive those in our campaigns. Also ties the mileage reimbursement for candidates when they're performing their campaign duties to comply with the IRS regulations. Also clarifies disclaimer language for local candidates and committees. Provides some clarification for non-coordinated and coordinated expenditures for clarification for campaigns. Also talks about the obligations for reporting reimbursements, and it also provides some additional information, disclosure requirements when we fill out our campaign finance reports. And finally, Mr. Speaker and members, it also clarifies for us when does the legislative day begin and when does it end as it relates to when we begin in January in the first year of the biennium or later, and when do we determine by law the actual last day of session is for campaign-related activities. And Mr. Speaker, with that, I stand for questions.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Nelson moves to amend Senate File number 3306, the third engrossment, as follows. The amendment is coded A6.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Nelson, to your amendment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and members. And this is an issue that was brought to me after this bill went through the committee process.
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Representative Krisha, for what purpose do you rise?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
State your point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to a point of order of 3.21 on germaneness, and I am prepared to offer advice.
Representative Krisha, state your advice.
Mr. Speaker, members, I looked through the amendment, and I'm sure we could have a robust debate on it, but the fact of the matter is this amendment will not be germane, and I will ask you to find that point well taken. If you refer to lines 1.12 and 1.14 of the amendment, you'll see that we are expanding this amendment greatly by giving Campaign Finance Board the authority to have jurisdiction over every candidate's personal expenses and finances. There's no enforcement in this amendment, and it requires many staff that won't be included in this amendment. So, Mr. Speaker, this amendment greatly expands this bill and is not germane.
Advice?
Representative Nelson, state your advice.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, this amendment is in the same section of law. It's about the same thing that the Campaign Finance Board bill is about. It's about disclosure. It's about making sure that people aren't being given money on the side that could be construed as a campaign contribution. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this member is definitely in order, and I urge you to rule the objection out of order.
Mr. Speaker, advice.
Representative Pinto, state your advice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I simply want to direct your attention again to the ruling from 2 days ago, and I believe that, Mr. Speaker, was you who was in the chair at that point. when the issue in the underlying amendment had to do with renters credits, had nothing to do with local government aid. Representative Drazkowski had a secondary amendment having to do with local government aid. It was Charnel Block that made the point they both had to do with property taxes, and therefore it was germane. The Speaker found the point of order not well taken, and actually the majority ended up upholding the Speaker's ruling. Mr. Speaker, consistent with that, I would certainly urge that this point of order be found not well taken. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, advice?
Representative Freiberg, state your advice.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the acknowledgement. Again, this is an issue. I believe an amendment was held germane yesterday. This deals with the same section of statute. If you look at the amendment, it amends section 211B.15. If you look right there in the title of the bill on line 1.10, it amends section 211B.04 of the Minnesota statutes. They both the amendment and the bill amend chapter 211B of the Minnesota statutes. That is the standard by which we typically judge germaneness, so I urge the Speaker to find the point of order not well taken.
Representative Krisha,
Mr. Speaker, further advice?
state your advice.
Mr. Speaker, just a point of clarification. I can take you in my fishing boat, but you may not be a fisher person. Just because you're in proximity does not mean it's germane. This absolutely inserts into here a new section, and we can say it's a close cousin, it's a friend, it's a brother, it's a sister, but the fact of the matter is it greatly expands the scope of the amendment. And for that, Mr. Speaker, I ask you to rule the point well taken.
Members, after listening to advice from Representative Krisha, Nelson, Pinto, and Freiberg, it is the decision of the chair that the point is well taken.
Okay.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Nelson moves to amend Senate File Number 3306. The third engrossment as follows, and the amendment is coded A5.
Recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Nelson, to your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is another amendment, again, that didn't have a chance to bring it up in committee. It was an issue that was brought to me after the bill made it to the General Register. And what this is just about lobbying, about members lobbying that are running for office, and so that there's disclosure about who they're being paid for by, who they work for. And Mr. Speaker, that's what this amendment does, and I ask for a green vote.
Discussion to the amendment. The representative from Stearns, Representative Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'm going to ask that you vote no on the A5 amendment. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like a roll call on this, please.
Roll call has been requested. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Nelson, I think I know what you're trying to do here, and I will just want to remind members that if this amendment actually does go on the bill and becomes law, what this does is this opens up about 2,100 registered folks with the department, or I should say with the Campaign Finance Board, and will affect companies such as Delta, 3M, the AFL-CIO, Children's Hospital, Best Buy, among others. And it actually will affect members that are in this chamber right now who are elected because they work for some of these organizations that Representative Nelson would cover by this. And so, members, I would just ask that you vote no. A red vote would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call being requested, the clerk will take the roll on the amendment. Clerk will close the roll. There being 44 ayes and 78 nays, the amendment is not adopted. There are no more amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File Number 3306.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. The member from Hennepin, Representative Carlson L.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, would Representative O'Driscoll yield to a question? And I'm looking at subdivision 3 on page 16, lines 16.9 through 16.12, food and beverages legislative duties. And for the members that don't have a copy of the bill before them, a candidates committee may, let's see, am I looking at the right line here? The point I wanted to find out is if I've got the right lines there, but at any rate, somewhere in the bill, that may not be those lines. You can't cover the cost of food and beverages if the event is being held outside your district. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're having a joint door knock and one of the candidates at the joint door knock doesn't happen to live where they're hosting it. I'll use myself as an example. I'm fortunate enough to have a fairly nice-sized home, and so we have a number of political events in our home. And so my expenditures would be made in my district in that case. But sometimes we're having a door knock or an event where we invite other candidates to participate, and my home isn't in their district. But yet we share the costs. So would we be prohibited from doing that? And the other example I have is after the election, and I'll just share a comment. My wife went to an event in Golden Valley, and they have a brand new community center. We live just a couple of blocks out of Golden Valley. I used to represent part of Golden Valley, but I don't any longer. So my wife said, oh, gee, that would be a beautiful venue for an election night party. That's out of the district by a couple of blocks. But it's a problem when you're in the metro area where facilities are. And so my question is, then would we be prohibited from doing that or sharing expenses when it's out of the district?
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and Representative Carlson. That's a great question, and the answer is no. What happens is it will be recoded as a non-campaign expenditure to a campaign expenditure, so it follows you as the candidate and where you go for your activities. So that does happen not only in the metro area, but it happens in greater Minnesota. You may have one community that's close to another, so you have parade volunteers that go from one event to another. But if they were working with my campaign, I would be able to, even though we were outside of the district, because it was my campaign. What it does, it takes it from a non-campaign reporting to a campaign reporting expenditure. That's all it does.
And Mr. Speaker,
Representative Carlson.
that's good to hear, and I'll just, to recap it, some of you may remember Sandy Peterson, and our district line ran right up the street that I happened to live on. Across the street was her district, north side of the street was my district, and happened to be where my home is. We did some joint events for a variety of reasons. One was the close proximity to both districts, and we would sometimes host the event. So you're saying that that would be fine for, if we were to have a like situation, for that other candidate to share the expenses if we had food and beverage and so on for volunteers.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wasn't sure if Representative Carlson was making a statement or if he was asking a question on that, but the answer is it follows the candidate. Non-campaign expenditure used to be reported, now it's a campaign expenditure. So wherever you go, your campaign goes, is a way to think about that.
Further discussion to the bill. Member from Hennepin, Representative Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is a decent bill. It's a good bill that we got. It was brought to us by the Campaign Finance Board, and it's about disclosure in our elections and putting into statute some of the rules that they were trying to propagate over the past few years, and having some issues going through the rulemaking procedure. So they brought it as a statute, which trumps rules any day. But, Mr. Speaker, and members, I'm trying to think, I just lost my train of thought here, but this, like I said, it's a good bill. There has been some issues in this bill that some of the proposed rules that were out there were published, and people were reading those proposed rules, and they've been contacting us on some of these issues, reading the proposed rule, but the statute was different than the proposed rules were. And that's some of the confusion that some of the groups have had on this bill. But going forward, this will be a decent bill, and it'll help us keep our elections clean in Minnesota.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Dean R.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and will Representative O'Driscoll yield to a question?
He will yield. Representative Dean.
So you had just had we just had some discussion between you and Representative Carlson regarding legislative, sort of people inside their district and people outside their district. We also have statewide candidates, and many of those statewide candidates travel outside of the state to raise money or for other events. Would this then apply to them? Any sort of expense associated with it would have to be, one, labeled a campaign contribution to them, and then two, that would also then be an expense against their own campaign committee for a campaign expense.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and Representative Dean. Where you are, your campaign is.
The member from Dakota, Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would Representative O'Driscoll yield for a couple questions?
He will yield. Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative O'Driscoll, I have a couple clarifying questions on page 16 and 17. And the first one, I'm looking on 16.32 and 16.33 on membership fees and dues. So I'm going to use myself for an example and see what the practical impact is. Two weeks ago, I went to Tanucci's restaurant, and they had a National Wild Turkey Federation dinner. And as part of the fee for the dinner, you pay your membership dues. It's wrapped into the fee for that food. How would that be dealt with 16.32, 16.33? What would I need to do there?
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Hansen, that's another good question. And the answer to that is the Campaign Finance Board, I'm not speaking for them, but how they have dealt with this in the past, and this is clarifying language, it becomes the question. Is it a cost that you would otherwise not have except for being a part of as a candidate or an office holder? So I'm not sure if the Campaign Finance Board has contemplated specifically your situation that you're talking about, so I'm not going to speak for the Campaign Finance Board today.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, Representative O'Driscoll, as the author of the bill, in changing the law, your intent or if we're changing the law here and it's clarifying, how does it clarify that? Because if we're punting that back to the Campaign Finance Board, they may watch what we're doing here and look for guidance as to the debate. So I guess as the author, I'm asking you what that means, if you would yield, Mr. Speaker.
You will yield. Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Hansen, this is one of the items that Representative Nelson and others have talked about. That was an advisory opinion. So it doesn't change anything under the current way that the board deals with this. It just simply puts it into statute that says this is what the law is going to be so that we don't get a different opinion from a different board in the future.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'll try a different question on a different subject. On page 17, lines 17.7, 17.8, 17.9, and I'll use again myself as an example. If I go to a conference and I bring my son along, who's 14 today, and that doesn't, if we're getting mileage in the car or we stay at a hotel and it has no additional cost, that's still, looking at that, that's allowable. Is that correct? If you would yield.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Hansen, it follows the same as we've mentioned before, as Representative Nelson has mentioned, that we've incorporated a number of advisory opinions. This is as well, and so it does not increase the amount of expense. It's just, again, so we don't get a different opinion from a different board in the future that is codified in law, which is the way that we've been working and under the current advisory opinion.
Representative Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I was hoping for a little more guidance there, but it appears that we won't get it, and we'll have to look at the face value of the legislation when it passes.
Further discussion? Representative O'Driscoll. The member from Hennepin, Representative Anderson S.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Driscoll, I just have one question for you.
Are you asking?
To yield, yes, please.
You will yield. Representative Anderson.
Representative Driscoll, I think I know what your intent is, and I just want to make sure that it's part of the legislative record. And I'm looking on page 15 of the bill, and it's talking about how the recipient can register people to vote, and that counts as a services to constituent and as a non-campaign disbursement. I assume that it's your interpretation and legislative intent that that would only be for registering people to vote that are in your legislative district, correct? You can't go to somebody else's legislative district and register them to vote. Is that correct?
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Anderson, could you identify the lines on page 15 that you're referencing?
Representative Anderson S.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Driscoll, it's on lines 17 and 18. And it's describing non-campaign disbursements. It says that includes congratulatory letters and so forth, and also how the recipient can register to vote. And I'm assuming it's your intent, legislative intent, that would only be for constituents that you represent, and you can't go to somebody else's district and register people to vote.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Representative Anderson, thank you again for the clarification on that. You are correct. It is not specific, and it is my legislative intent that the answer would be no, that we would not to your question. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Anderson.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill.
Speaker.
Moran votes aye. Clerk will close the roll. There being 123 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.